The Cardinals are now on the clock.
To report on the dance floor, and you know my slogan, no fighting in no way.
Poppin' knock it when I met you, shorty had the long extension. Told her I'm a weapon, but I only got the best intention. Tougher, not a bluffer. I want you to be my lead, don't have to take it undercover. Just under the bells are ringing, people singing, rice is throwing, flower bringing. Ting-a-ling-a-ling, the honeymoon is when we going, and I take you to a place that you didn't even know exists. What's your wish? Dinner at the Eiffel Tower in Paris.
In the basement party.
Cardinals are off the clock now. Adam, what can you tell us about this guy?
He's a durable lineman who set a team record for consecutive starts, never missing a game throughout a decorated 4-year college career. Ross Tucker praised his footwork leading up to the Combine, where he did not disappoint, solidifying his position as the draft's top offensive line prospect. He has the potential to be the cornerstone of this offensive line for years to come and should provide consistent protection for a franchise quarterback. This is a great pick.
Excuse her while she kisses the sky. Excuse her while she kisses the sky. Jaws dropping with
she walking kind of thing that happened.
Our very own Adam Schefter has more to say about this pick.
His college career came to an abrupt end this year when he was suspended from the team. I spoke with the school's athletic director, and he told me it was due to an academic violation. He was on probation and close to failing several courses before the decision was made between the director and his coach. He was able to turn his grades around, but his draft stock took a hit when the news broke. Scouts weren't too bothered by his academic issues, but his lack of playing time made it harder to evaluate him with the rest of his class. And now that he's drafted, I don't think the team is too concerned with his grades either.
Excuse her while she kisses the sky. Excuse her while she kisses the sky. Excuse her while she kisses.
The Titans are now on the clock.
Hey baby, baby, hey baby. Hey baby, baby, hey baby.
Take a breath. Inhale.
The Lions are now on the clock.
Hey baby, baby, hey baby. Hey baby, baby, hey baby.
Inhale. Exhale. Let's take a breath and breathe.
All right, let's go to Adam Schefter, who's got more on this pick.
He was an exciting player to watch in college, and the Combine was just a reminder of how explosive he can be. Judging by his 40 times in broad jump, he has the explosiveness and lower body strength to excel as a running back in the NFL. Matt Miller was surprised by just how strong his legs were and told me that he had one of the best vertical and broad jump numbers of any player the past few years. And while running backs aren't as valued as they used to be, he's one of those rare talents that you can't pass up. I think he has what it takes to be a real workhorse for this team, and he should be an immediate upgrade to their running game.
Excuse her while she kisses the sky. Excuse her while she kisses the sky. Can I get a witness in the darkness? 'Cause there ain't no love at all to be found. Feeling like a freight train, trying to break chains. Everybody needs somebody, no doubt. Sugar, just step into your sneakers and step behind the speakers. Your heart will keep me beating and make me a believer. Don't you want me? Don't you want me? I need some mercy on my soul right now. Give me what you got. Oh, oh, oh.
The Jaguars have made their pick. Adam, what can you tell us about him?
A common complaint scouts like Matt Miller had was his dependence on raw power rather than proper technique. He tested well physically at his pro day, moving fast and displaying some strength. But in swim and rip drills, his hands looked slow and he relied more on his weight to move through the drill. If his technique doesn't, he may find himself getting locked up by linemen and unable to break free.
The Bears are now on the clock.
Can I get an amen when the night ends? There's no winner when you're walking alone. Sliding down the last street as the day creeps. What you doing with nobody at home? Sugar, just step into your sneakers and step behind the speakers. Your heart will keep me beating and make me a believer. Don't you want me? Don't you want me? I need some mercy on my soul. Come on. Give me what you got. Oh, oh, oh. Give me what you got. Oh, oh, oh. I said, roll up, yeah, come get your love. I don't care when we're dancing tonight, just as long as you're there in the break of the light. I said, roll up, yeah, come get your love. I don't care if I'm losing my way. I've been waiting for you as the night fades away, so roll up.
The Seahawks are now on the clock. The Browns are now on the clock.
said, roll up, yeah, come get your love. I don't care where we're dancing tonight, just as long as you're there in the break of the light. I said, roll up, yeah, come get your love. I don't care if I'm losing my way. I've been waiting for you as the night fades away. So roll up, roll up, roll up, roll I wanna sit on private planes. I wanna scream my name on top of the Eiffel Tower. On the Eiffel Tower. I wanna hit that blackjack. I wanna take that money and run right here, right now. Right here, right now. But I won't take that train. I won't catch that flight. If you're not on that plane, we ain't taking off tonight.
The Packers are now on the clock. The Steelers are now on the clock. The Bengals are now on the clock. The Dolphins are now on the clock.
But I won't take that train.
The Vikings are now on the clock.
On that plane, we ain't taking off tonight.
All right, team is now off the clock. Adam Schefter, can you tell us about their newest player?
A consistent performer his entire college career, he went out on a high note in his final game, recording 3 interceptions and being named the player of the game. General managers have been simply drooling over the opportunity to draft him, with one telling me he's as close to a sure thing as there is in this draft. He'll have plenty of opportunity to showcase his coverage skills this season, as he'll likely line up against some of the NFL's most elite wide receivers.
Oh, I wanna scream your name, wanna make you smile. Let's be runaways, leave it all behind. Will you take that train? Will you catch that flight? If you're on that plane, we'll be taking off.
The Cardinals are now on the clock.
The money in the world, baby.
The Redskins are now on the clock. Pick's been made. Let's go to Adam Schefter to hear more about the player.
The importance of a lockdown pass defender cannot be emphasized enough, and that's exactly what every GM I talked to described him as. His ability to play physical and to outwork his opposition off the line have also been areas of high praise on his journey to the draft. This skill set could be seen in numerous games this year where he completely shut down some of this draft's top-rated wide receivers. When you're tasked with neutralizing an opponent's number 1 wideout each week, there's a great deal of responsibility to ensure you're not just physically ready, but also mentally ready. This is another important trait the GMs I spoke with mentioned to me that made them so excited about this guy. The hope is that he will quickly learn the playbook, get some solid reps in the preseason, and come week 1, be ready to play.
I got a lot of holes in my ankle. I got a lot of love and a whole lot of ignorance, and that's a good thing if you...
The Rams are now on the clock. The Raiders are now on the clock.
It's come out like a power within him. I get down like gravity, rackety rappers and raps rapidly follow the rapid into the rapids of being rapping and rattling, rattle riddles and rivets into the sky. I'm a rebel feeling riveting, rhythmically clear. I am vigorous, spinner right to the rhythm, but to the side eye. I am the killer in the grasses. I am the kid in the corner with the glasses. I am the specter, you should respect them. I don't expect the special, ain't special. I don't expect nothing. I'm just really glad I can say something. It's a blessing. Ain't no stress affecting my presence. But sometimes the pressure keep pressing. Worst keeps my impression impressed. That's the way to relate. I'm just trying 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 to relate.
The Giants are now on the clock. The Cardinals are now on the clock. The Cowboys are now on the clock.
All up in my face, you're not from the clique. Give me space, we might rob it. Most say that, baby, they don't love the clique. I thought they loved
The Jets are now on the clock.
Yeah, there's some mother. Friends and business don't mix, so I'm brotherless. Trying to get back close, hit them with the stiff. Gears I shift, make sure they feel the drift. Just cop the Benz, oh, with the tick. You should know, cause in every song I said, yeah, in every song I said, I'm just.
The Panthers are now on the clock.
400, I don't care at all. Have a head, no, heard you talking about I'm real, I'm fraud. Your kids and broad, they straight, you shouldn't care at all.
Please, please tell me why you always leave.
Why you wait?
Please tell me why you always leave. Please, please tell me why you always leave.
Why you wait?
Please tell me why you always leave.
The Eagles are now on the clock.
Why you wait?
Please tell me why you always leave. Please, please tell me why you always leave.
Why you wait?
The Bills are now on the clock.
Yeah. 104 times.
The Broncos are now on the clock.
On deck for the whole town. On mamas, man, I did it with my own sound. And I got my own city that I hold down. Just admit it already. You got plans to do it, but we did
The
it.
Titans are now on the clock.
I done slid in already. Gotta ask why.
The Lions are now on the clock.
Already? Yeah. I'm a star like Mauritius. Running up the numbers like Aisha's. Yeah. I be sliding, I be creeping. Girls these days, they just don't know how to keep it. But I got it all handled. They try to box me in, I got my own angle.
The London Black Knights are now on the clock.
And I'm a wishing put on every candle. I'm like,
Please, please tell me why you always leave.
Why you wait?
Please tell me why you always leave. Please, please tell me why you always leave.
Why you wait?
Please tell me why you always leave. Please, please tell me why you always leave.
Why you wait?
Please tell me why you always leave. Please, please tell me why you always leave.
Why you wait?
Please tell me why you always leave.
If you ain't know me, bet you know now. Juicy came through.
The Bears are now on the clock.
Pot town, that's automatic, hold down. What's that? Ask no question, just hold it down. While you hating on the progress, I'm a humble, I don't even pride what I do.
The Seahawks are now on the clock.
Chicks, and still crazy, I ain't even drive shit. Hate from a distance, please don't try me. Cause we'll turn it up on anybody. I see why they don't like me. Yelling out 400, they go 200.
The Browns are now on the clock.
Back at it. Whoa. Let me come
Let's go to Adam Schefter now, who's got more to say about the Browns' latest pick.
Heading into the season, he was thought of by many scouts as a top 3 quarterback prospect. After a series of poor performances, my sources told me many felt he would be lucky to be considered in the top 10 at the position. He's received high praise for his throwing power and accuracy, but some draft experts pointed to a lack of mental sharpness and focus that led to his struggles under center. It doesn't look like GM shared in this assessment, warranting a draft pick that puts him among the top QBs in this draft. It'll be interesting to see if he can return to that form that so many people were buzzing about back in September.
I'm in this white fit, looking like a brick and all them zippers on a jacket on you. He got a thing for Latin. He wanna hear a little Spanish in it. I told him minutes to practice it. I'm about to fill you up with Spanish. Rock up with the click and I ain't looking like
The Vikings are now on the clock.
and boxing and it has a time been ticking. I've been out here playing my position. I'm about to get it now. Ain't no one about to block my hit. Cause someday, something come along. Someone tell me I'm somewhere, doing alright, doing alright. Somewhere, nobody there. Someone, somebody there. One day I'll be the love of my life, but not tonight though. Hey, I'm on only here for a minute. Bet you want a girl that...
Vikings just made their pick. Adam, what can you tell us about him?
The key concern I've been hearing from several GMs is that he simply isn't in good enough physical shape to see significant action early in the season. Even with a full off-season of NFL conditioning, the feeling is that he will not be able to stay on the field every down and maintain that high level of play coaches want out of their guys. The game never slows down at this level. He's going to have to get in better shape if he wants to be an every down player. This is a kid who may eventually make an impact in the league, but it may take an entire year to get his body into the kind of shape needed to make an impact at this level.
Not tonight, though. He trying to catch me in my feelings, but he don't know that I'm the though. Shout out to my that can get it independent and ain't looking for no love though. He trying to catch me in my feelings, but he don't know that I'm the though. He trying to stunt and give me drinks. I got the bottles in the section and I promise to pay.
The Redskins are now on the clock. The Patriots are now on the clock. The Chargers are now on the clock. All right, now that the pick's in, let's go to Adam. Adam, what can you tell us about this guy?
He had an average day at the Combine, but something a few different scouts pointed out was his lack of speed in the 40. He ran an average time for an offensive lineman, but the big area of focus for guys his size is the first 10-yard split. It took him almost 2 seconds to get out of his stance and across the first 10 yards. This is a good measure of how quickly a lineman can get out of his stance and get downfield. Looking at what he did at Indy, there's some concern as to how fast he can get to the second level while run blocking. This is an area where improvement can be difficult, but we'll see how he does it for his team.
The Raiders are now on the clock. Adam, what can you tell us about the Raiders' newest player?
With this pick, we see a tremendous physical talent that fell out of favor with many teams based on reports that he struggled memorizing his playbook. These struggles were cited as contributing to several key mistakes in late-season losses. A 3.7 grade point average student studying humanities, the explanation for his lack of football knowledge was puzzling to many of the scouts and GMs I spoke to. Other sources have told me that if the reports of his playbook struggles are indeed true, it may be more of a reflection of his previous coaching staff than his mental work ethic. They feel that making the jump to the NFL provides a clean learning slate for him. I expect his new coaching staff to bring him along slowly, and because of that, I wouldn't expect to see him getting any immediate on-field action until he demonstrates a mastery of the playbook.
The Titans are now on the clock. The Lions are now on the clock. The Jaguars are now on the clock. The Falcons are now on the clock.
They told me you've been doing okay, okay. In another world where you and me, we show our hearts, yeah, entirely. Deliver
The Bears are now on the clock.
and take me to my fantasy. Tell me we can make this real. If we can follow what we feel. I'm running, but I've reached the edge. And now I'm falling, so promise that you'll catch me. Promise that you'll catch me. Dreams forever in my head, it seems. I finally know what they mean. I promise that one day you'll
The Seahawks are now on the clock.
in another world where you and me, we show our hearts, yeah, entirely. Deliver me from reality and take me to my fantasy. Tell me we can make this real. If we can follow what we feel. I'm running, but I've reached the edge. And now I'm falling, so promise that you'll catch me.
The Browns are now on the clock.
Promise that you'll catch me.
The Packers are now on the clock. The Jets are now on the clock.
Promise that you'll catch me.
The Dolphins are now on the clock. The Vikings are now on the clock.
Don't make me beg, don't make me wait.
The 49ers are now on the clock.
The darkness of the night.
The Ravens are now on the clock.
Show me my place. You are my shelter, baby. Let me feel your light.
The Patriots are now on the clock.
One foot in a deep revival, another one going in the fire. Only one that can save me now.
The Saints are now on the clock.
This aching pain when you're away, like a burning ship that sets its sails to you. Fingertips, that's my lips, make me sing that holy song the way you do. Holy Ghost inside, let it loose and lay it on. Only one that can save me now is you.
The Redskins are now on the clock. The Jaguars are now on the clock. The Chargers are now on the clock.
Said tonight we ain't going out, so we invited everybody. The made, well, they're way too strong, but ain't nobody saying sorry.
The Falcons are now on the clock.
No one knows what it is, but we keep it on repeat cause we don't want it to end. We got the rest of our lives for the rest of our lives. And the rest
The Raiders are now on the clock.
never feels right. We're doing it our way, just acting our age. One day we'll look back, just shaking our heads. But
The Cardinals are now on the clock.
to slow down just yet,
The Cowboys are now on the clock.
just acting our
The Jets are now on the clock.
just acting our age. There's people here,
The Panthers are now on the clock.
but we're acting like we go back.
The Broncos are now on the clock.
It's 3 a.m., but we ain't done yet. Trying our best to make it last. Freedom running through us like an open. We're too high on being young and they're still too rich.
The Titans are now on the clock.
For the rest of our
The Lions are now on the clock.
tonight for whatever feels right. We're doing it our way, just acting our age. One day we'll look,
The London Black Knights are now on the clock.
but right now we're too fast to slow down just yet.
The Bears are now on the clock.
Just acting our age. Just acting our age. Just acting our age.
The Seahawks are now on the clock.
We're too proud, we're too.
The Browns are now on the clock.
Don't think, we don't plan, we stay as long as we can. As long as we can. We got the rest of our lives.
The Packers are now on the clock.
And the rest of tonight for whatever feels right.
The Steelers are now on the clock.
Just acting our age. One day we'll look back, just shaking our.
The Bengals are now on the clock.
Now we're too fast to slow down. Just
The Dolphins are now on the clock.
doing it our way. Just acting our age. Just acting our age. Just acting our.
The Vikings are now on the clock. The 49ers are now on the clock. The Ravens are now on the clock. The Patriots are now on the clock. The Saints are now on the clock.
Used to draw, hard to admit that I used to draw. Portraiture in a human form, doodle of a two-headed unicorn. It was soothing, moving his arm in a fusion of man-made tools and amused from beyond. Even if it went beautifully wrong, it was tangible truth for a youth who refused to belong. No name nuisance, losing a bedroom, bruising a brand new uniform.
Barely commune with the horde. Got a whole grayscale ungluing his world. Might zone out to the yap of the Mac.
The Redskins are now on the clock.
Cross contour, a little bit of backlight. Black ink after a Bristol to baptize. You can imagine a rush that ensue when you get 3 dimensions stuffed in a 2. Then it's off to a school where it's all
The Jaguars are now on the clock.
back in New York by peeps and a dog in a 2-bedroom doing menial jobs.
The Chargers are now on the clock.
In a cloud, distractions, freedom abroad. I left some years of deer in the light. I left some will, the spirit away. I let my fears materialize. I let my skills deteriorate. Horn about a thought of what I should have been. Continuing a mission that was rooted in a 20-year affinity and rickety condition with an ID crisis. Snap on the front lawn, look up in the sky. It's shapes falling out of the fringe. All heart though we would have made cowardly kings. They will chop you down just to count your rings. Just to count your rings.
The Patriots are now on the clock.
An hour. Colors pouring out of the fringe. All heart though we would have made cowardly kings. They will chop you down just to count your rings. Just to count your rings. Just to count your rings. Used to paint. Hard to admit that I used to paint. Natural light on a human face. Stenciled fire in his roommate's face. It was bloom and addiction. A miss and a push and a pigment. Book like a tattooed pigskin look. Pinhead kids in a minute. Drank Kool-Aid from a tube of a...
The Raiders are now on the clock.
Joy to the poison, voice to the resin. Capture a map of a gesture. Back up, add a little accurate fat to the figure. Redo that, move that inward. Zinc white lightning shoots from his fingers. Studio strewn with illusion and tinctures. Stay tuned for the spooky adventures. You can imagine the stars that align when a forearm starts foreshortening right, or a torso hung on a warping spine of a portion reads as warm and alive. Routine day with a dirt cheap brush. Then a week goes by and it goes untouched. Then 2, then 3, then a month, and the rest of your life to beat yourself up. I left some seasons eager to fall. I left some work to bury alive. I let my means of being dissolved. I let my person curl up and die. Eating up his innards and unfeasible anxiety is brutally committed to relinquishing his privacy, aligning with the trials of the anti-Midas. Snap on the back lawn, look up in the sky.
Adam, what can you tell us about that last pick?
One of this draft's toughest players, here's a guy who played the majority of his final collegiate season with a broken foot. Long suffering with plantar fasciitis in the affected foot, doctors discovered several hairline fractures across the first, second, and third metatarsals during a routine therapy session. Translation? His foot was essentially shattered. Recovery took months, and he used the time wisely, studying film of just about every NFL team and preparing for interviews. No surprise that he blew scouts and even a few GMs away with his knowledge of NFL offensive schemes. This is an intelligent, hard-nosed defensive back who's going to make his fair share of big plays before his professional career is over.
The Titans are now on the clock. The Lions are now on the clock. The London Black Knights are now on the clock. The Bears are now on the clock. The Seahawks are now on the clock. The Browns are now on the clock.
Carefree, I've been living carefree. So much in the air, we can barely even breathe.
The Packers are now on the clock.
Say I'm living wrong, you ain't wrong, money long way. So think about it, it ain't nothing I don't know. All the money that I saw, I don't think I'm ever wrong. And I don't know.
The Steelers are now on the clock. The Bengals are now on the clock. The Dolphins are now on the clock. The Vikings are now on the clock. The 49ers are now on the clock. The Ravens are now on the clock. The Vikings are now on the clock. The Saints are now on the clock.
Left field, call it. Babe Ruth, ball it. Your boyfriend's got a cauliflower, and I'm a. So sue me. Who you, Judge Judy? Stacking the rubies. If life was a movie, then you could just call me the Goonies. You're not relevant. Trolling.
The Redskins are now on the clock.
Haven't moved out of your parents' basement yet. Big neck. Coming with the beat that's.
The Jaguars are now on the clock. The Chargers are now on the clock. The Colts are now on the clock.
Can you hold it down? 'Cause we can hold it down. Yeah, you can hear me now.
The Raiders are now on the clock. The Giants are now on the clock. The Cardinals are now on the clock.
Just a couple of weirdos coming to your city, sending bass into your earlobes like your bleached out hairdos. We glowing in the dark, got the spark, about to flare the fuse. That's just how we do. To Geronimo, parachute, skydiving off your parents' roof. Saw the magician's assistant in half, like who the are you? Who the are you? Who
The Cowboys are now on the clock.
the dudes who just come over to
The Jets are now on the clock.
say hi? We just come over to walk your dog. We nice like that.
The Panthers are now on the clock.
Can you hear me now? Can you
The Broncos are now on the clock.
can make it loud? Can you hold it down? 'Cause we can hold it down. Yeah, you can hear me now.
The Cardinals are now on the clock.
Yeah, you can hear me now. Turn it up to 11. Blow it up, straight to heaven. Drop the big beats, so they gotta listen. Yeah, you can hear me now. Yeah, you can hear me now. wanna live like it's Mardi Gras and go dumb with my whole squad and don't need no R&R. To regular life, I say au revoir. Hey, living life in the fast lane. May your pain only be. So please come join me. One thing, good vibes only. I just stopped. I'ma fill my cup. Got fireworks. Let's blow some down. Tonight I'm going stupid. Doing things I've never done. We all got one thing in common. We just wanna have fun. Hey. Do what you wanna do. Do what you wanna do. I think I'm gonna do something crazy. Come by, bring a rack. New grill and a bunch of snacks. And where we going, you don't need a map, you don't need a nap, you don't need jack. Except out to people, some very loud speakers, cold drinks and good. Join me, one thing, good vibes only. I just stopped, I'ma fill my cup. Got fireworks, let's blow some down. Tonight I'm going stupid, doing things I've never done. We all got one thing in common, we just wanna have fun. Hey, do what you wanna do. Think about to do it. Think about to do it. Do something crazy.
Down. Do something crazy.
Do something crazy. I just stopped. I'ma fill my cup. Got fireworks. Let's blow some down. Tonight I'm going stupid. Doing things I've never done. We all got one thing in common. We just wanna have fun. Hey, do what you wanna do. Think about to do it. Think about to do it.
I'm tired of this in the kitchen. But how else am I gonna get it? 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 I'm getting kinda tired of all this in the kitchen. How else am I gonna get it? How else am I gonna get it? How else am I gonna get it?
How else am I gonna get it?
Whip. How else am I gonna get it? How else am I gonna get it? Whip. How else am I gonna get it? How else am I gonna get it?
You better not be the one to doubt us. Cause we've been putting in the hours. We only taking what was ours. So you better not be the one to doubt us. Cause we gon' blow your mind. We gon' blow your mind. We gon' blow your mind. Okay, whoa, whoa, whoa. We've been on the road from the go. Hit my glow. You know we've been down for too long to give up. Can't go. I need all pesos, want it all. Case closed. I go balls to the wall, can't hold to the ball game over. These boys can't hold me. You boys can't hold us. I told you. Better not be the one to doubt us. Cause we've been putting in the hours. We only taking what was ours. So you better not be the one to doubt us. Cause we gon' blow your mind. We gon' blow your mind. We gon' blow your mind. When I was back home washing them dishes, I was just wishing I could just vision. I was gon' get it, I was on missions, I was just living. Walked in that building, we was just building, taking our time. We was just yielding, we was just chilling. Away from these haters, know they be watching like a theater. Plotting these niggas that we need later. They gon' degrade us, it won't delay us. This is what made us. We got Omega, probably roll. Probably just leave. I see you later. I salute Wega, cop a new crib, got some new neighbors. You get this big, they gon' want favors, they gon' want flavors. Probably roll. Hope the Lord save us, wait from these haters. Hope the Lord save us, wait from these snakes, wait from these fakes. Wait, I need breaks, wait, I need cake. How long can we wait? Come on, for peace sake. You better not be the one to doubt us. Cause we've been putting in the hours. We only taking what was ours. So you better not be the one to doubt us. Cause we gon' blow your mind. 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 We gon' blow your mind.
Like a river, 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 like a river. Shut your mouth and run me like a river. How do we fall in love? Harder than a bullet could hit ya. How do we fall apart? Faster than a hairpin trigger. Don't you say, don't you say, don't say, don't you say. One breath, it'll just break. So shut your
going down and the weekend's here. Save my soul. I can feel it coming, troubles in the air. Oh my Lord, the light is going down and the weekend's here. Save my soul. Who's all with me? Who's all with me?
Bring your lunch pails, fellas. I need to see that workman attitude today. We gotta get better today.
You know the power of the song, everybody sings along.